Howdy, everybody, and welcome to the TexAgs High School Football Show, presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Academy has all your high school football road trip needs this season. Get the right gear for the long season with free curbside pickup today at Academy Sports and Outdoors. What's up, everybody? Welcome along to the TexAgs High School Football Show. Round 3 of the playoffs on deck. Thanksgiving week as you guys get ready to sit down, have some turkey, have some dressing, maybe even some pumpkin pie. We will try to get you primed and ready for a, regional semifinal round of the Texas High School Football Playoffs. I'm Ryan Brauninger, joined as always by my coworker and Dallas know-it-all, Jason Howell, DFW, the man in DFW. And Jason, we always start with you up there in the Metroplex. What'd you see last weekend, and then some key takeaways from around the area?
Well, Saturday was my only game day. South Oak Cliff and Lovejoy in Globe Life Field. It's my first chance to get out there to Globe Life. So I got a chance to, take it all in. Beautiful stadium. And man, it's I don't know about a premium playoff spot for the crowds, but man, it's beautiful, background area. But South Oak Cliff and Lovejoy in a very much a heated battle. This is a rematch of a game last year on South Oak Cliff's championship run. And so there were some feelings on both sides of this one. And South Oak Cliff's offense has struggled and Lovejoy's hasn't. But that didn't seem to be a problem at all for the Golden Bears on Saturday. They hit the ground running. They gashed that Lovejoy defense for 414 yards rushing and 5 touchdowns. Javon Thomas, he stumbled a little bit on his first game back against Mansfield Summit, but limited carries, but high production. 3 carries for 95 yards, 2 touchdowns, and also a 7-yard reception. So he averaged over 30 yards a carry. It looked good doing it, and he was limited to just offense. And I think that's what you're going to see out of him over the course of this run. South Oak Cliff seemed to find a quarterback. Their passing game got going a little bit more. Lovejoy's Kyle Parker had a huge game. 12 receptions, 255 yards, 2 touchdowns, also threw one. But Lovejoy was without Parker Livingston for most of the game. He went down early with an injury, and Peyton Pierce was out due to a hamstring injury. They played 3 different quarterbacks and really didn't get going until the fourth quarter. This was a 40, I want to say it was a 42-10 ball game. At one point in the third quarter. And, it took 3 onside kicks. 2 they recovered in the last couple minutes of the game to really give it a go. But South Oak Cliff really controlled this one from the very beginning. And, it was a runaway for the Golden Bears. They looked as good as I've seen them. And they moved to a Friday matchup this week against Midlothian Heritage and Mansfield. A few others around the area. I mentioned Louisville, Arlington, Martin. And if you would have told me there'd be 3 missed field goals and special teams would play a big role in this one, I would have picked Martin. But Louisville comes out with a 10-0 win to advance over Martin for the second year in a row. Denton Geyer doing their thing. Pulled away 63-42 after being tied at half. Jackson Arnold went nuts, 19-21 for 222 yards, 2 touchdowns, and then had 16 carries for 110 yards and 4 touchdowns. So he did it both on the ground and through the air. And then I picked Lancaster last week, and I came out, looking with a little egg on my face. Frisco Reedy pulls it out, 30-27. Went to overtime, and Reedy was able to get it done. And then one of my state championship picks went down. Stephenville falls to Anna. So great job by Anna. Great team to watch. They were definitely going to be a contender there, but yeah, big upset in those lower divisions there.
I thought that it was important for South Oak Cliff to have that performance after
Yeah,
round one. At
yeah,
12-7, everybody started questioning them, and I think they silenced a lot of doubters with that round two win. And
absolutely.
then Brock was interesting because Brock lost a bunch of games early, and then
Well,
got it going.
they had a big
Yeah, their non-district was
non-conference. Yeah,
yeah, their
yeah,
non-district schedule was tough, but that they lost were they 4 losses going into district play or something like that. That
yeah.
something you don't see out of Brock, and everybody was giving them the benefit of the doubt. And they did get it rolling. Like they were still in the top 10, even with 4 losses because of that non-district schedule. But I listened to enough people talking DFW, and like Anna's a pretty solid
Oh, they're
small
great.
school team.
Absolutely. They're going to be a contender. I mean, that was one of those teams that I thought coming out of that bracket it was going to be trouble. I mean, that 4A Division 1 Region 2, you got China Spring, you got Lake Worth and Alvarado. Lake Worth ended up winning that one. And you had Kennedale, Anna, and Stephenville all you could make a strong case for each one of those teams to make a championship run.
I'm pulling
So,
for the Bullfrogs.
oh man, well they've been rolling, man. They pulled out some real tight ball games the last few weeks. Coach Welch, who was Robert Griffin's offensive coordinator at Copper's Cove, he's leading the way over there at Lake Worth, and so they're doing some big things. If I had to make my pick right now, in that with Stephenville out of the way now, I'm it's hard not to go with China Spring,
I know. I
but
know.
yeah. So China Spring would be my pick to come out of that side of the bracket and eventually.
There's a big one in that 4A Division One, but Region Three. There's a big win this week that I want to talk about when
Okay.
we start looking ahead. But I started my weekend last week on Thursday night. Franklin versus Anahuac and Waller.
Yeah.
Anahuac surprising, man. Like really talented, good-looking kids. They got a freshman quarterback in Brady Barrier. Quandre Coates is a 6'5", 230-pound sophomore tight end. Just good-looking bunch, and from what I understand, it's like kind of people keep moving east. So these were like
Uh-huh.
Barbers Hill now spilling over into Anahuac. So potentially they're set up for a long time with all those underclass talent. But and they went into the halftime break against Franklin up 7-6 and really had a lot of eyeballs on them there at half. And then Franklin shows their Franklin state championship pedigree 26-0 in the second half. Bryson Washington, Jaden Jackson, Devin Hidrago. I mean, all the stars were out for Franklin in that second half. Hidrago had 2 interceptions, got his hands on a third, couldn't reel it in. Jaden Jackson, 2 rushing touchdowns. Bryson Washington, 2 rushing touchdowns. And I'm going to tell you what, man, Baylor does such a good job of evals with the small school kids across the state. I know me and you are
Yeah.
huge fans of Jaden Porter at Lorena. They did
Hmm.
an outstanding job with Bryson Washington. The kid's just a winner. He's just a winner, and you can play him at linebacker, at safety, at running back. I think that he's going to be like Richard Reese, who's put
Yeah.
up good numbers for Baylor from Belleville.
And
Like,
that's a guy you've been on since this sophomore year.
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, yeah,
And
absolutely.
I'm sitting here looking at A&M's recruiting class, and I know they've got some really talented defensive back athletes committed. But that's another guy that I'd look at and go, man, could he be a linebacker? Could he be a running back? He's just a winner, right? So
Yeah.
Baylor got a really good one there in Bryson Washington. Franklin rolls in the second half to advance it against another. I mean, this week, Franklin versus Hitchcock. Hitchcock has been scoring points in bunches. Damian McDaniel, their 2024 stud athlete.
Yeah.
They were outstanding in state 7-on-7 in the summer. So that one should be a matchup of contrasting styles this week, but really intriguing matchup there in 3A Division One. Then on Friday, headed west to Bastrop. So just what a classic game. I mean, a knockdown, drag out, body blow after body blow. Smithson Valley versus Manville. Smithson Valley is able to just get enough space late to win the game 38-28. They were actually, it was a 3rd and 3 in the fourth quarter, and Manville was using their timeouts to try to get the ball back. And on a 3rd and 3, they run right behind Texas A&M commit Colton Thomason, who was I thought, Jason, that was the best I've ever seen him by
Really?
miles. And like playing the game like you would expect a 6'8", 320-pounder to do, just absolutely bulldozing people. When Smithson Valley
Love it.
had to run the ball late to eat the clock up, they were running behind 77. And on that 3rd and 3 play, they break a 48-yard touchdown run,
Mm.
which if the kid would have just fell down, the game would have been over there. But he ended up scoring, make the score line look a little bit better. But what a huge win for Smithson Valley. And that's always a challenge, I think, for San
Yeah.
Antonio teams when they come up against Houston Powers, because you know that probably throughout the year, Manville has played better competition than Smithson Valley has. It's just the way it
Yeah.
is. And I know that was something that the Smithson Valley coaching staff was really wondering about. Was like, how are we going to match up with their athleticism and their speed? And
Hmm.
Smithson Valley does such a good job. Their coaching staff is outstanding, and the kids are super disciplined, and they do what they do in their scheme, and very creative run game is what I'll say for Smithson Valley. But they hang on, they get a big win, advance to round 3, and now they've got to play maybe the hottest team in the state of Texas when you talk about offensive numbers. Fulshire,
Uh-huh.
they scored 50 again
Whew.
last Friday night to beat A&M Consolidated, and they were up like 20 or 38 to 36 to 10, and then they
Goodness.
give up 28 unanswered and then score the final 14 to win 50 to 38. I think that's their 10th game this year scoring 50 points or more. Maybe
Goodness
they're 8th
gracious.
of 50, and then 10th of 40 plus, something like that. It's just
Yeah.
insane. So Smithson Valley Fulshire on Friday at Seguin. Really interested in that one. But around Houston, there was some really, I mean, Dickinson pushed North Shore. They led at half. North Shore does enough in the second half to come back and win.
Mm.
Klein Collins nearly upset Spring Westfield. Summer Creek, and this is one I predicted, Summer Creek knocks off undefeated district champ Shadow Creek to advance, and they get Katy this round. Super interested in that one as well. So Houston was the ones that really stood out in terms of holy cow. Like, I didn't think that you'd perform that way. Were the Woodlands? I think the
Yeah.
Woodlands ran off from one of the Dallas teams, right? Who?
Oh,
I
I
can't
know
remember.
they
And then
got a Dallas team coming up.
Tomball against New Caney.
Yeah.
Tomball rallies and beats an undefeated New Caney. And I did want to shout out this one. Port Arthur Memorial in 4 overtimes over
Ooh.
Frisco Wakeland in Lufkin. Here's a name for you, maybe the most under-recruited wide receiver in the state of Texas. And when you
Okay.
watch the tape and you look at the numbers, Caleb Goody at Port Arthur Memorial has been absolutely sensational. And their quarterback, Davion Wilson, transferred over from C.E. King in the offseason. He's been, I think he was nominated for 5A Player of the Week this week. And was it 350 yards passing, 120 yards rushing. So Port Arthur Memorial keeps rolling along, and their reward for winning
Exactly.
close games is the Longview Lobos. So, Jason, we'll get into where you're headed this week and maybe some games you're looking forward to in the Metroplex.
Well, I'm going to be out at Choctaw Stadium on Friday afternoon and Saturday morning. Going to check out South Lake Carroll and McKinney on Friday, 3:15, and then Saturday morning at 11 a.m. I'll be back out there for Louisville and Keller, both in the 6A ranks there. So it should be a lot of fun. South Lake has been rolling along. McKinney with a big win over Dallas Jesuit, probably their biggest statement win of the season so far. So they're rolling along really well, and Carroll's starting to see their quarterback play kind of pick up steam, and get to see Texas A&M commit Tyler White, maybe put a few through the goalposts. So and then on Saturday morning, looking forward to seeing Jaden Hardy, 2024 standout safety, and that man, that secondary for Louisville and that offensive line are as fun of groups as you'll find across the state. Just a lot of talent and size and athleticism in both groups. So big time players there. And Keller, led by Trey Guerra, he's putting up a lot of numbers, and Keller moving around 3 I don't know when the last time that was, but it's been a while. I'll just say that.
Well, and then you mentioned the Woodlands having to
Hmm.
take on a
Yeah.
Dallas team. Do you think they can hang with Duncanville?
We'll see. Duncanville. I mean, last round they had Wiley. Wiley was a solid team, but I think as expected, Duncanville was able to run away from them and then put in their backups and freshmen in the second half. So they weren't really tested last week, and but I guarantee you the Woodland's gonna show up and ready to punch them in the mouth. That's just the way
Yeah,
they roll. So
the matchup between the Woodlands offensive line against Duncanville's D line, led
yeah.
by Colin Simmons, is going to be the one to watch, I think. And then,
Yeah,
can maybe
absolutely.
Mettauer, can he keep him in the game with his legs? Some big third down conversions, keep the chains moving, and keep the ball away from DK Moore and that potent
I'll tell you
Duncanville
what,
offense.
Caden Durham is as he's as explosive as they get out there, running back for Duncanville. He can flat out roll, track speed, and he's built like a tank, man. He is a stout kid, and he's been running away from defenses all year, so should be fun for sure. A couple other Dallas area games. You mentioned that Longview Port Port Arthur Memorial game there in Lufkin. I've got Aledo Midlothian also as one to watch, and of course South Oak Cliff Midlothian Heritage. So should be a fun weekend.
Yep. On Friday, I'm doing a doubleheader
There you
starting
go.
at 1 o'clock at Delmar Stadium, right there where about 290 and 610 meet in
Mm-hmm.
Houston. It's going to be Fort Bend Marshall against Montgomery Lake Creek, and that's the one everybody had circled in Region 3 and 5A Division 2, both undefeated. Excuse me, Fort Bend Marshall does have one loss early in the year, but they have just absolutely been rolling. And then Lake Creek behind quarterback Cade Tessier, sophomore running back Ty Byers, and then a little shout out to 2026 offensive lineman Hunter McKinney, the son of former A&M great and longtime NFL vet Steve McKinney. Been getting a lot of snaps as a freshman at 6'3", 260 pounds. So
Wow.
looking like his dad a little bit there already as a freshman. But I'm telling you what, as good as Lake Creek has been in their offensive numbers, this is going to be a different animal for them. And what really, you typically look at a Fort Bend Marshall team and you go, man, I bet they're going to be really fast. And they're going to have great skill guys. But what's been so good for Fort Bend Marshall this year has been their front seven on defense,
Yeah.
along that defensive line with Trent Thomas and Zach Chapman and then Jordan Sample at linebacker. Just super talented in the front seven. And they're starting to play some of this freshman group that
Yeah.
Coach James Williams has been talking about. They've got a kid, Isaiah Williams, at safety. I got sent his tape from last round, and I'm like, for a freshman,
Yeah.
it's pretty crazy, like how fast he closes on the ball and how he arrives in strikes. So, typical Fort Bend Marshall team, going to be loaded with athletes. Can Lake Creek and their up-tempo offense and Cade Tessier, I think they actually need to slow it down, see if they can get the 4 or 5 yard gains with Ty Byers and hold the ball for as long as they can, because as good as they've been on offense, Lake Creek, their defense
Mm-hmm.
has been suspect at times in giving up points. And you don't want to be handing the ball to Fort Bend Marshall on offense more than you have to. So really interested there. And then at 6 o'clock at NRG Stadium, just because it's close and it's kind of in the same division, so I'll get to see
Yeah.
both games in that same region. Port Neches Groves takes on Brenham. Both probably surprised a lot of people to be here.
Yeah.
Brenham had 4 losses during the regular season and has started to put it together in the playoffs. And then PNG last week upsets Austin LBJ, last year's 4A Division
Yeah.
One state champ. They beat them 24-19 and were up 24 to, I think, 7
Oof.
at one point. So Coach Jeff Joseph, in his first year on the reservation there at PNG, son of Katy head coach Gary Joseph, he's got that thing pointed in the right direction clearly. And they could be looking at a district rematch between Fort Bend Marshall if both of them hang on. That was number 1 and number 2 in that district. That would be playing for the regional final there in 5A Division 2, Region 3. The game that I was talking about earlier that was in 4A Division 1, Tyler Chapel Hill and Lumberton. I
Oof.
am super interested in that one. Lumberton was my state champion, actually my runner-up
Yeah.
in the entire classification. and they just continue to score points at a really high level. Brock Jackson, 2024 linebacker, Avery Yarborough, 2024 linebacker, anchor their defense. And Coach Reyes just continues to have those kids ready to play each and every week. So I think they're going to be at a little bit of a disadvantage against Demetrius Brisbane and all that talent that Tyler Chapel Hill has. But with the way Lumberton has been rolling, that might be the game that I'm most locked into other than the ones that I'm at this week. I think that's a super intriguing matchup.
It sounds like it, man. And both those teams, like you said, they're more than capable of putting up some big points. Should be a fun one.
All right, Jason. Well, enjoy your turkey. Stay, be easy on the sweet potato pie. I'll try. I've already started my Thanksgiving week, which means I've given myself an illegitimate excuse to eat like crap all week. We'll have to get back into the gym on next Monday. But
no doubt,
a lot of turkey, a lot of food, and then a lot of football here in this week.
Crawfish dressing and turkey gumbo, my friend.
There you go.
Oh, it's gonna be good times.
That's the beauty of living with a Cajun, right?
Exactly.
For Jason Howell, I'm Ryan Brauninger. Thanks for watching the TexAgs High School Football Show.